we doing today? Well, we have the Toyota back in the air and we're going to put on the front lip. Now this one was off eBay. I know I keep saying not to buy off eBay, but I keep doing it. This is supposed to be from, I think it was Braden's Automotive or something, and it's supposed to be better than the typical eBay front lip. I've already held it up to the car and it's a really snug fit to get the fangs on the lip to match the fangs on the bumper. However, they will, with some patience and a little bit of making sure that we start in the middle and work our way out so we don't have any warps in the plastic. So that's what we're going to do, especially with it warm out here. Then I'm going to leave it out in the sun, let it get a little bit warm so it's more pliable. But this shouldn't be a big job. However, it came with all the hardware, and we are going to have to drill in the bottom of the bumper. But that's not really a big deal. We're not going to see it. It's not like we're putting canards on the car yet. I'll get there. But we are going to have to drill along the bottom of the bumper to actually get the lip to go on. So it's not going to be a big deal, but I'm going to get my drill right now, let this thing sit out in the sun, and I'm going to start getting ready to put some holes in this thing, and it should not be a difficult install by the looks of things. So what I'm going to do to figure out where I actually want the first hole is I've held it up here to figure out about where it's going to sit. And that's about as close as I'm going to get it to sit, right there. So I actually took a punch and I made a small hole in the bottom of the bumper down here so I know where to put the first screw, so I can at least have this thing supported a little bit, because in the end when we get under the car we're actually going to spring the middle out, but because of the bow in the plastic it's not going to meet up the fangs the way we want it to in the end. It's supposed to be about like that. I think that's the way the Toyota ones are, but this is, it's not quite gonna reach both sides, so I was gonna tuck it down a little bit underneath it so it's even on both sides. So that would be what the really expensive one would be about, and I'm gonna put mine right about there. So let me get the first screw in and hold this end up, and then we're gonna do the same over here. Put a screw in this side and hold that end up, and then we're gonna work in the middle. So here we are. The two plugs on the sides actually go into the bumper. There's already some spots for them. I'm gonna put them in both ends just to support it up. Now to get the fitment the way I wanted it, I held it. God dang it, the light is always a pain in my ass. There. So I got the fitment right where I wanted it to be here, and the warp that I had in the plastic from shipping was on this side. So between a heat gun and some maneuvering, I'm slowly trying to get that, and I need to bring it over this way a little bit more. But I've already put one of the screws into the bottom of the bumper here, and I put one in back here, and some of this is going to pull out when the lip gets raised up in the middle, because there's still the gap here because it's not screwed in. But when I get that brought back up, it's going to close that gap up a little bit more. The fitment's almost going to be spot on, and then under here it's going to basically just go up there, and those will be what they are. That'll be the easier part, but I highly suggest making sure that the fangs meet on the bumper. And if you get about, when you find out where it's going to fit, where your middle's going to be, do what I did, and I put a screw in to hold the place, because I knew this was the easier side because it wasn't warped. So I put a screw in to hold it, and then I slowly am trying to work some slack back over here, and like I said, I'm going to bring that back up. That's gonna close that gap. So I'm going to work with a little bit more and maybe put one or two of the screws in on the back of this to bring this up and move some of the slack in the plastic over so I can close this gap up a little bit. I did just what I said. I started over here on this end and just slowly worked my way across, putting screws in the back, and I'll get underneath the car in a minute and I'll show you that. I just kept it held right where I wanted to and followed the line, And just like I hoped, it pulled the gap closed, and it matches up pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. See if I can keep some of the glare off. So I think it ended up being pretty good. So all that's really left now is, this was actually the difficult part, was getting it centered, and as you can see, it's flexing the whole bumper. So those screws that it came with it were like this, and they ended up doing the job really well. And they even supplied us with our extra push clips. And we've already put 2 of these in the ends like I showed you before, and there's 4 of these that go on the corners in front of the wheels, but we're getting to that here in a moment. But these are the screws that I haven't even put in yet. So it actually came with quite a lot. So let me get under the car and I'll show you guys what it looks like under the car. And overall, I'm really happy with the fitment on here. In fact, I'm so happy with it, when I do this project next week, I might actually hand wash and try to get some of this nasty off the front of this bumper before the express rally starts in a couple weeks. So overall, I mean, this has worked really well. And I'm gonna try to remember to get the actual name of the seller for this and put it on there, because the fitment is really good, especially for being an eBay part. So let's get under the car and take a look. There's that push clip that we put in earlier, and you can see the screw holes along it there that I haven't filled. So these are the ones where I started. This is the driver's side of the car, and I actually started with this screw right here and then put this one in once I got it lined up. And like I showed earlier, I put this screw in here to hold where I wanted it to line up, and then I went back over to this side and I just started putting the screws in all along here, as you see, until I got over here. So the whole front of this is on, it's not going anywhere. So what we're actually going to do now, so I think would be best, is right here, this is one of the OEM push clips. We're going to take that out, and as you can see, there's a hole here and there's a hole here, and there's 2 on the lip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that clip, that push pin out. I'm going to put the supplied ones in, and as you can see, it doesn't perfectly line up. So I'm going to spring this in like this so it lines up on the bumper right, and then I'm going to put the screws in along the back here and finish it up to hold this side, and we're going to repeat over there. So it came with 2 sizes of push pins. There's the bigger one and the smaller one. The smaller one is going to go in the hole nearest the wheel. It'll fit in there. Ooh, that's tight. That's what she said. And then of course the big one will go into the next hole. And by the looks of it, we're gonna have to drill that out a little bit. That's about what else. Oh, no, there it went. Great. Fantastic. So we're gonna line these up just like that. Not just like that. There's that one. Make sure you get all 3 pieces of plastic, because there's the fender liner, the actual bumper, and then the lip. And clearly I don't have all 3. Might actually have to fight that one a little bit more. This is much more up close and personal than I had anticipated being with you people. Wonder if that's just not long enough. Okay, we'll come back to that in a little bit. I might end up getting a C-clip and put a bolt in that anyway. Because that one went in just fine. And that's holding it. And we've got to put screws along here, and that'll hold it. But I might end up putting a C-clip and bolt in that. Oh, so a little Easter egg here. Our Scion FRS says Subaru everywhere. You know. I actually buy these on eBay in bags. This is a C-clip, and it's this tall end is threaded. And they usually come with bolts, and they're mostly all the same size. But as you can see, put a bolt in it, so that won't ever leave there. And there's only, what, 4 more screws left on this side that'll hold this. Now, I like the way this worked so well. Not only will I be using it over there, but I'm going to be looking for a place where I can put another couple on the front, because I like bolts with threads and metal, not a screw into plastic. It just seems like an accident waiting to happen. However, as you can see, that pulled that up really nicely, and when I get these screws in here, it's going to be good. So I'm going to finish this side here and then go over there. And there it is. The most poorly lit YouTube video of all time. But there's my bolt on the driver's side, so we can see the hardware that's along the bottom here. And the bolt in the back there. From the front, you can see the fitment. I'm pretty impressed. I am pretty impressed. I would recommend this one. It even fits good there. And I'm kind of excited to set it on the ground so I can see what it looks like. But dang, I think that was well worth it. I think that ended up being real good. So here it sits on the ground, not up on blocks, not jacked up. I think it looks pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. And this is another reason why I always buy black cars, because when stuff comes in black, you don't have to paint it. And that would be an awful part to have painted. But I think overall, that's probably the worst part of the fitment right there. I'm sorry, right there. And that's not too bad. I think that looks okay. I wish it had covered up where the previous owners had destroyed the bottom of the bumper, because people that drive cars pull up on top of sidewalks when they go to Walmart because they're too dumb to park further back and not rip the front of their car off. But I think it looks pretty dang good. I recommend that part right there.
Behind me you'll see a car.